Live. Okay, so for today's live show, which I've just this minute decided to do, because I have edited a recent video. But what I'd do is I'd go live and talk about why I always come back to oil painting, and I plan on talking about different materials that I've used in the past and why I've always ended up coming back to oils. Hello, Lindsay B. Welcome. So I've made myself a list. And hi to Bobby. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so I've made myself a little bit of a list of things that I used in the past and why oils always call me. Oil painting, not quite, Chris King. You're not quite first. You're third. Dum dum dum. Yeah. So the first material that I started with was, well, like we all start, is pencils. And why are pencils so great? I think pencils are really good because they're cheap. And I was actually told this by a master painter. I didn't know he was a master painter. It was when I was at school, and I later found out he was a master painter. And he said, because I goes to him, I want to be an oil painter. And he says, well, you can't afford oil painting, oil supplies, can you? Could your parents buy you some oils and a canvas? No. Well, how are you going to do it then? You need a pencil and a paper, a piece of paper and a pencil. It's cheap. You can get that and start. I was like, well, I don't want to do that. But anyway, I found out later on, I was watching this documentary on local artists, and he was a master painter. Didn't sell his paintings, though. He just had a house full of masterpieces. So anyway, pencil. I still use pencils. I prefer coloured pencils like these Derwent pencils, colour soft ones. I tend to go for a brown and a white. Hello to Miriana McCary. Hello. Yeah, so I tend to prefer the coloured pencils, and then I use like the mid-tone sketchbooks. They work better for me, rather than just a piece of white, horrible white paper and a pencil. I can't stand that. I just don't like it. I prefer toned paper. So yeah, that's one of the ones that I like. But colouring pencils, I see some videos of people on YouTube, and I've seen pictures of some amazing colouring pencil drawings, and I'm like, whoa, they're amazing. And I tried doing some. I did do some quite good ones using colour, but I find them a bit frustrating because I can't do the same as what I can do with oils. And that's one of the things with oils is I really like colour mixing, and because I understand the colours a bit more than I used to, I can usually mix the colours that I need. And for a while I thought, oh, look at these realism pictures that people are doing using marker pens and pencil crayons and mixed media and watercolors, and using all sorts. Maybe I should try that. And I was doing those for a bit. And then again, I thought, what's the point in buying all this stuff when I can just use oils to do the same thing, and then I could probably do it better with oils. So yeah, so what's that say? Hello, Julie Drops. Have you been in touch with Clive? I enjoyed watching your London trip. Yeah, we messaged quite a lot, although we've not been able to go anywhere, being in lockdown. And last year, we weren't able to do anything either, mainly because I couldn't really afford it at the time, so we couldn't do it. But we plan on. He keeps inviting me to Wales, so when everything's back to normal, hopefully I'll be able to go paint some amazing Welsh castles because they've got some amazing landscapes around Wales, old castles and stuff. So, yeah. So coloured pencils and mixed media. Do like them. My marker pens. I used to have loads of markers, but I flogged them because I just wasn't using them, and they were in a box. And I thought, might as well sell them because I'm not using them at all. So I flogged them all. I kept my favourite ones, and that was it. Because I wasn't really using them. Marker pens. They kind of. I enjoyed them, but I don't know. You can do so much on the computer now because I know how to do stuff on Photoshop, so I kind of use that instead of when I used to use markers. And yeah, so I'm being really strict with myself. I've got a list. I'm a professional today. Yes. What does Chris King say? I didn't start painting till a couple of years ago with the help of following Bob Ross. Yeah, it's amazing how many of us have got going because of Bob Ross. I think there's loads of us, millions of us, because that's got me going. That did watching loads of Bob Ross and Bill Alexander videos. I noticed Bill Alexander Company are putting out tons of videos now. Must be getting all his back catalogue and chucking it on YouTube, which is good because I really enjoy them. There was a really good sunset seascape on there that Bill Alexander did in an hour. If you've not watched it, it's really good. Gotta love Bill Alexander. So another one, charcoals. Now I used to use charcoals when I was at school. I did quite like them. The only problem is they're really messy, and me personally, I'm more into colour than black and white. So charcoal, I'm not sure about it. So I don't really use charcoals that much. I don't really find them. I've used them for tracing. They're great for tracing. If you have a nice big drawing that you've done, and then you just scrub the charcoal on the back, stick it to the canvas, and then go over the reference, and you get a nice tracing with charcoal. I think that's mainly what I've used charcoal for. But I don't tend to do much tracing. I actually find this is weird. Actually, I find tracing makes it harder for me. I don't know why. I think it's because when you trace something, you're not using your brain as much. You're just using your mechanical side, like a robot, just tracing over something, and then it doesn't get into my brain. If I actually draw something with chalk, then my brain starts working it out as I'm doing it, and I find that works a lot better for me. Some people like doing tracings and things with charcoal. Yeah, yes. I just saw someone's comment, and let's go down it again. Backyard koi and art. Hi Jason, I started with Bob Ross as well. Love your work. Thanks very much. Do you have kois in your backyard? I like koi carps. I used to have koi. Unfortunately, there was a great big koi in the pond. Huge one. Huge blue one. And it jumped. It jumped out. It was awful. I even had a net over the pond and it still jumped. What's the designs by CAD Pro? Good idea, tracing with charcoal. It is. It really does work really well. Charcoal tracing works really well. Very messy from Jacob Benjamin. Very messy though. A great teaching tool for value. Did charcoal for 2 years before going back to oils. The difference was incredible. Yeah, I can imagine that. Because charcoal, I mean, you're just using grey and black, so you're going to start improving on tone, and that's something we forget. Well, I say we, I say me. when whoa, when I used to when I first started, that's something I missed. I missed like that sort of tone. I think everyone does. I think when you get going, you start learning and you improve on things like that. And I remember once I was painting and I looked at this tree and I thought, that tree, it's really dark. It's got the darkest bunch of leaves, and I can't believe how dark it is. And I thought, well, that's strange. I've always thought trees off in the distance would be light, but these are really dark. And I was sketching away, and I was amazed at that. I was amazed, and it made a difference because I've always, like for a while, I was copying, and when you're copying, you're taking up someone else's idea of, say, distance. If you want to create the illusion of distance in a landscape, then you start with the sky, say. So you've got a nice light blue sky, and you want your trees in the background to be light as well. So you put a little bit, tiny bit of green or a bit of yellow ochre as well in your blue, and then you make your background trees, and they almost disappear. And then you start thinking, oh well, I want as I come forward, I put more color in, and then it gets darker as it comes forward. But in reality, it's not always like that. That does work for distance in a painting, but I know in reality it's not like that, because like today, I went for a bit of a drive testing my car because yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to start in the morning, and I work early mornings, so crossing my fingers. But anyway, I went and got in, turned the key, and it turned over. So I thought, oh well, I'll be all right in the morning. So I went for a bit of a drive, and round the corner from where I live, it's just country. It's just country, and I drove down there. I wished I had my camera actually. I spotted a few places I could do paintings, really good ones as well. And while I was there, I could see, you can see like for miles along like a flat set of fields, and the trees along the horizon, they're dark as anything. Well, how does that go with the theory of it disappearing into the sky when it actually didn't? Well, sometimes it does. It depends if there's atmosphere, if there's like water in the air and things like that. So I think things can change. Let's have a look at the comments, see what people have been saying. Chris King, I followed your winter light painting also. Came out pretty good. Oh no, it came out pretty good. Good teacher. Thanks very much. Jacob Benjamin, no need to be coy. Backyard coin art. Yes, I do. I have a 6,000 gallon. I raise and breed them. My love for koi led me into painting. My couple first paintings are kois. Oh, that's awesome. I really like kois. I want to do a painting of koi. You know, when you see them coming up for food, when they're swimming on just below the surface of the water, I think that they look amazing. I really like koi carps. I've only got guppies, and I've got some behind me on the other side. There's some rasboras. They're all small fish because I haven't got any big tanks. They're all smallish tanks, really. Chrissy Canvas Art says hi. Hi. I love oils. Acrylics are super fun now also. Plenty mediums to add. Yeah. So let me take pencils, coloured pencils, charcoals. So let's go down to acrylics, since Chrissy Canvas Art mentioned acrylics. So for me, acrylics. So I started with acrylic painting, and I had all kinds of mediums and stuff. And for me, I found it really confusing. I was like, why is there so many different mediums? Mediums to make it grainy, mediums to make it thinner, mediums to make it thicker, all these different mediums to do all these different things. And for me, that's too confusing. I was like, well, that's too much for me. I don't know what to use. Which you're supposed to use. So I ended up not getting any. Well, tell a lie. I did. I got quite a few, and then I didn't use them because I didn't really know what I was doing. And I used to just use water. And then I found I ended up getting this one brand, and I used a thickening thing because I was trying to make them like oils all the time. I was just, like, battling trying to make acrylics like oils, and that's not the way to to do it. So I ended up thinking, why don't I just use oils? And then I thought, well, the problem I've got there is oils are for good painters, and I'm a mere a minion of an artist. I don't know what I'm doing. How can I use oils? And then that's when Bob Ross came in, and I started learning all the techniques of that. And then I thought, oh well, oils doesn't seem that hard. Bob Ross can do it. And then and then I got my my set of paints, my master set, and then I set myself up, got Bob Ross on the screen, followed along. I made a right royal mess of a painting, and it looked awful. Nothing really worked. The only thing that seemed to work was the reflections, and I was like, oh, well, I thought this was going to be easy. Bob Ross paints in half an hour, and he does these amazing pictures. Why aren't mine doing like coming out like that? And so then, yeah. So I got that one wrong, but I did go back and forth, oils, acrylics, oils, and I like oils the most because I have to do less. Because of acrylics, you've got to prevent them from drying. You've got to use mediums, and I'm such a lazy painter. If I can just put paints on the palette, blob, 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 and then paint, and that's good enough for me. Because the other thing I found with acrylics is if they're not dry and you paint on top of them, you can scrape them away, and then and that used to annoy me. So I this is something I wouldn't recommend. I put the painting in the oven and I baked it. Gas mark 6 for 20 minutes, and and then I carried on. So then it wouldn't remove paint when I was putting more acrylic paint on top. Yeah, it's a nightmare, that is. I think people use hair dryers. But yeah, I'm more of a so that's the many reasons I went back to oils. But I have done commissions with acrylics. I painted some people's dogs with acrylics because I wanted to do it fast. And I thought, oh, I'll use acrylics, and then it'll be dry in a couple of days, and then I can give them the picture, and that'll make it quick. So, you know, they have their uses, but for me, I find oils so much more easy than acrylics. Which sounds weird because acrylics you always think is a beginner medium, but I don't think it is really. It's just a medium that can be used for loads of different techniques, because you can use it as a watercolor, you can use it as a like a gouache kind of paint, and you can use it as an oil paint almost by using these mediums. But hey, that's all complicated. I'm a simple man. So what have we got? Let's have a look at the comments. I've ticked acrylics. My nemesis. Yeah, acrylics. The thing I like watching Clive when he does layers and layers and layers of acrylics. I really like that. I always want to try that, but Never got round to it. I've seen some people, they use acrylics to start the painting. A bit like the old masters, they would use temperas to start a painting, and then they would use oils, layers and layers and layers on top, where nowadays a lot of people use acrylics to get it started and do layers and layers and then finish it with oils, which works really well. Like Thomas Kincaid, one of the most popular painters, he used to do stuff like that. What have we got? Kiln Master. Not sure why I said it like that. Kiln Master. Hi, Jason. Big fan. Ever make pottery or three-dimensional art? No, but it looks good. I know. I've watched programs where they make stuff, and it looks really, really good. I'd like to try something like that. Have you ever thought of teaching an art class? Yeah, I thought about it a few times. It's a tricky one because you've got to have a venue and all that. I used to do Bob Ross painting classes, and I had all my easels, and it is a bit of a difficult one because you've got to. It's such a lot of work, like getting the venue, advertising the venue, and then the people come in, and then you've got the teaching side, and it's a lot of cleaning, and then you end up making 10p. Chrissy Canvas art, I hear I just use glazing medium. Interesting. Might be a good tip for acrylic painters. Maybe you need some glazing medium. What's that? Smegilligan77. Hi, Jason. Sandy here. Love your work. Really like listening to your thoughts as you paint. Oh, I'm glad you enjoy my thoughts. You might enjoy my impressions in my latest video. Oh, then again, you may not. I paint in thin layers in acrylics and glaze up in thin layers and use a hairdryer. Yeah, interesting. Chrissy Canvas art. There's some more tips there. Thin layers in acrylics, glaze up in layers, and use a hairdryer to dry in between. I find when I do watercolor painting, I use a hairdryer because it's the best. There's no real tip there. Watercolors. Let's go to watercolors now. We've mentioned watercolors. I really like watercolors, but I only like them when I'm using gouache with them because I can paint almost like oils, and they can be reactivated, but they do have limitations, and the limitations are not as much as oil paints. They're good for mobility. Like you put a set of paints in your bag, and you can go somewhere and do your painting on your mid-tone sketchbook. Looking around, see if I've got one. What have we got here? Let's have a look in this. Here's a few horrible pictures I don't want to show. No, I don't mind. So yeah, you can get yourself a sketchbook, and you can get out there with some gouache and do paintings there and then. Where if you're going out with oil paints, you're going to have a bit more problems in transportation. Amazingly, this is a graveyard, but I took all the gravestones out. Artist editing, you see, because if I left them in, that wouldn't look as nice, would it? It would look a bit spookier because of because they're really old gravestones, and so I just took them out. Now I was sat there painting, and it was really quiet, and it was quite a nice one, and I was like, you know how you suddenly get a feeling like you're being watched, and there I was in the middle of the graveyard painting the trees. Suddenly I was like, something doesn't feel right. I hope I haven't disturbed a ghost or something. And then this woman walked past, and I was like, ah! And she was like, oh, morning. Morning. She is a real person. See, my mind started playing tricks on me when I was in there. Yeah, there's another one I did. And look how fresh that looks. So when I was painting this, it was full of sheep. There was sheep everywhere, all around me. And they wouldn't, they were just constantly going, and they was getting closer and closer and closer. And I was like, well, I don't want to disturb them because I'm quite happy in this spot. And I was carried on painting, and they were getting closer. Imagine a big fat sheep going right almost in your ear. It was interesting. So it's quite fun getting out there doing things like that, because you get to connect with the wildlife. And there's another one that I did around the corner from of this old abbey, and that's where my chair broke. I was sat on one of these chairs with the 3 legs, and it wasn't perfectly straight, so one of the legs broke. And I was there painting away. I'm okay. It's full of nettles there as well, absolutely full of nettles. Considering it's a beauty spot, why is there so many nettles? And then I saw the odd person walk around there, and they would sort of look at me, seeing what I was up to. Oh, what's this guy doing, sat in the middle of nowhere, looking up here? What is he up to? And there I was, just painting an old remains of a wall. It's quite interesting though. Let's have a look. Let's go back up. I've been waffling on, and I forgot to look at the comments. Like acrylics layering, I've painted for years and have not bridged to oils. Concerned about adding to and the drying time. Thoughts? Okay, I'm going to tick acrylics. My list is being more and more ticked. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Each tick is like a pat on the back. Well done, Jason. Well done. So the gap is quite small, I think, with acrylics and oils. I think oils are here and acrylics are right there beside. And you can flip from one to the other quite easily. It's just thinking about the process of putting the oil on the canvas, because I know I don't think Clive will mind me telling you this story, hopefully. But he was seeing what I was doing with the oils, and he bought himself a set of water mixable oils, because I was saying, oh, well, just get water mixable oils. They're similar to acrylics. You get all the benefits, and you can wash your brushes with soap and water. So we went and got some, and he did a painting, and and he didn't find it as easy as he thought he would. And he messaged me and showed me the picture, and then he posted the oils to me. And he says, well, I don't like them, you have them. So that didn't go down too well for him, but went down well for me, because I got a load of free oil paints. But anyway, what you've got to think about is the process of putting the paint on, because when I paint in oils, I always think my first layer is going to be really thin, and I scrub it on really thin. And a lot of painters, when they first start, they'll put it on just as thick as the rest of it, And then you've got problems because the more paint that you put on, you scrub on loads of paint, then when you put on lights, it's going to get mixed in with the paint that's already on there, and that's going to be hard to mix. So you've got to think in a way of you imagine your whole canvas. This is a good analogy. This is a good analogy. You imagine your canvas as your palette. Mhm. So imagine you're mixing a light blue on your palette. You're going to have more white and then a little bit of blue, right? Simple. So that same idea you've got to think about when you're putting your paint on the canvas. So you think of it as a palette. So if I work out, oh, I need to get these highlights. Let me look for a picture. Let's use that. So this was near my nan's place. So imagine you're painting this with oil paints, not with gouache. And you're thinking, right, where shall I start? Well, let's say you start with the sky and it's sort of a grayish white. You want to do that really thin to cover the canvas, because any of this color that gets near that is going to get changed. So, like that black line would probably be one of your later strokes, would need to be really thick so it doesn't blend with the white. Yeah. That doesn't explain it amazingly, but if you watch my oil painting videos, my more recent ones, that's the way I paint. I'm trying to think about the layers, and then the lightest lights I tend to go really thick, and then the darkest darks mostly thin, but not always, because I don't like to be strict with myself. I like to be able to change things. So the rules are there in my head, but they're there to be broken as well. You know, just to get yourself out of a jam. All right, let's move down the list of comments. JB, first time I tried Bob Ross style, I didn't really understand the magic white, so I tried it without it. Disaster. Yeah, I've been there. I tried to use acrylics like what Bob Ross did. Disaster. Acrylics and I had a nasty breakup. Says Jacob Benjamin. Acrylics and I had a nasty breakup. He promised me these rich, detailed darks, but just fades to black. I'm with oils now, and we're deeply in love. That's almost poetic. Yeah. Acrylics. I think with acrylics, you just, like oils, use more paint. When you know you're going to want dark somewhere, use the paint. Don't put it on thinly, use it thickly. How much art have you done since COVID started up and we are inside? It's not really affected me because I have still been going to work while COVID has been happening. Not been visiting anybody, so that, I suppose that's changed. I haven't been going anywhere, but I've still been going to work, and actually I've been doing more overtime because of it, because I work in a supermarket, putting out the fruit and veg in the morning. It's been madness, because a lot of business seems to be going to home shopping, which so in the early mornings they come in and do the shopping for people at 3 a.m. It's been really busy. So yeah, I wish I could have just stayed at home and painted. Let someone else put the fruit and veg out. But it's quite all right. At least I've got a job still. It's a bit worrying times for some people. Lavina Cass. I think you are the greatest teacher, as you are. You sure have helped me. Well, thanks very much for that. That's something that I try and keep in my head. I always try and when I'm painting, I always think, well, think back to when you started and then try and help people out. That's what my channel is trying to be. Oops. I'm always learning though. I'm always trying to get better. Chrissy's canvas art, so they're nice studies, Jason. Oh, thank you. Indranil Bizwas. Hello. Hello. Chrissy Canvas Art likes to use oils outside, though must admit just chill and relax. Yeah, I do like using oils outside as well. Actually, I really like using them. The problem I have is my my inner desire, my inner need to do something big always comes out. So I always look at the canvases and I'm like, I'm going to go out painting. What canvas should I take? The small one? Pfft, small one? Not me. I want the big 18 by 24. So I get the big canvas and I take that out with me. Not thinking when you got a big canvas to paint, the light's changing constantly, and you're gonna it's gonna be struggling. It's gonna be a struggle to cart your big painting back home. But the inner artist will not accept small canvases for some reason. So I've got to got to compromise next time I do that. I do want to get out there and do another painting, but I need to really think. Probably like a 12 by 14 sort of canvas. Thinking about the paintings I've done that have been big, I haven't really given myself enough time to really go for it, and so I think I need to work out a good size for myself that I can do regular oils. Difficult to film outside though, I've got to say. Really difficult. What else have we got? Where are we? I want to get. Oh, there we go. We missed loads. Chris Canvas Art. It's great listening to you as I'm from Manchester. Manchester. Up north. Use a good professional paint if you don't want a plastic look. Also use a glazing medium working layers and it will look great. I'll take your word for it. Is oils over acrylic okay? Yes. Once acrylic has dried, and you have to let it dry, you can paint oils on top. Use the old hairdryer trick to get it dry. That's a good one. Oh, a super chat. Thanks for the super chat from Chrissy Canvas Art. Appreciate it. Designs by, that's my first one. Woohoo! Oil versus acrylic, great topic. I choose oils first, then acrylic. That's designed by Cab Pro. Yeah, for me personally, I choose oil over acrylic, but I'm sure there's many people that choose the other way around. I would say there's probably more people that would choose acrylic over oils. I like painting oils over acrylic. Grazi, acrylic painting says hello. Which is correct, oils over acrylic or acrylic over oils? Acrylic over oils for Monica Batts. You've got to think of acrylic when you're doing that kind of thing. Think of acrylics as gesso. You gesso your canvas and then use your acrylics and then finish off with the buttery lusciousness of oil paints. Thanks for the super chat, Jacob Benjamin. I used to work in a grocery store with fruit and veggies. Designed by Cadbro, yeah. It's I've been there a while now, early mornings. It's a job. It's a job. I'd like to be a master painter, but the kings and queens of the world have not called. I'm still waiting. From my easel, you look so calm, and this reflects in your art. What motivates you to paint? What motivates me to paint? It's a good question. That is a really good question. I will contemplate this question like this chap here contemplates it. This is actually an actor. I paused a TV show and painted it. The contemplation. Yeah, I think it's like a puzzle. It's like a puzzle that I can never finish, and I need to go back to it. Like a jigsaw that you never find all the pieces, and I need to keep going. What's the red beverage? It is a secret mystery mix that improves your paintings. It's actually blackcurrant juice. And I didn't even know it was blackcurrant juice, because when I bought it, I thought it was one of those fruit mixes, like a blackcurrant and blackberry, and or like a summer fruit type mix. Turns out it was just blackcurrant. And the reason I thought that was funny is because outside the back, I've got a bush, and it's covered in blackcurrants. And I've been eating them off the bush. And I was like, oh, I can't believe it. I bought blackcurrant juice. I've got 1 million blackcurrants in the back garden. I could just pick them and crush them and make my own juice. I bought juice. Ugh. So I'm having a blackcurrant overload. So where was we up to? Where has my list gone? I won't show you that picture. Oh, maybe I'll show you it just for fun. Here's an owl. An owl in a boat. Yeah, random sketch. So, watercolors and gouache, we've kind of gone over now. Marker pens, we've done. Oil pastels. I'll talk about that in a second. Oil pastels. Now, I find oil pastels interesting. But I don't seem to be able to do what I want to do with them, because I always want to use them like oil paints, and that's a mental blockage on my part that I don't really know, not really know how oil pastels should be used properly. I know how I can use them, but I don't know how a master painter would use them. So I've not seen a real pro using oil pastels to be able to go, I think I know what they're doing now. There is something I really want to try, and that's I might have to knock out the acrylics again, or I'll use tempera the way they used to do it. Is where they that'll do for oil pastels. I don't know what I'm doing. I've done what I think, but I don't really know. how to make them go puzzah. Like I've never really seen anyone do it really well either. Maybe if you know any artists that do amazing oil pastel drawings, put it in the comments and I'll have a look. Because I really don't know about oil pastels. Not really. Yes. Do contemplate. I will eagerly wait to hear your story from my easel. Yeah, like I said, it's the jigsaw. I don't feel like I've finished all the time. Whenever I do a painting, I always feel like I can do better. I can do better. I want to do more. I can improve. I can learn more. I have more ideas that I want to do. Do I paint every day? Julie drops. Nope. I wish I did. I did go through periods of painting every single day, and I was making sure that I painted every day without fail. But I would have to use like gouache or I'd sketch every day. But recently I haven't, and my painting that should come out tomorrow at some point. I had a bit of time where I didn't do any oil painting, so I was desperate to get the paints out and chuck on the oil paints, and I really enjoyed it. And you might enjoy it as well. Actually, it might give you some ideas. And Jerry R. Tarama people just did a show on oil pastels, I think. I know they use like spirits and stuff to thin out oil pastels, but I think to myself, what's the point? What's the point in doing that? Might as well just use oils. There must be a reason why they invented oil pastels. It must be a like a mobility thing. Or didn't Senelia make Picasso oil pastels? I think Picasso used to use Senelia oil pastels, but you know, I'm certainly not a Picasso. However, I'll look into it. Chalk. Chalk's on my list. Chalk is brilliant. Chalk is the most forgiving medium in the world because you can just go, gone, carry on. You can do things so easy with chalk and so quickly, and then change it so easily and quickly, and that's what I really like. Oh yeah, going back to my previous thought, because I'm back on chalk again, is what I want to do is do either a tempera or acrylic, whichever I choose, sketch of something, and then use pastels to do all the highlights and stuff instead of using like oil paints. And it was something that Degas did, so I want to try that. That would be pretty interesting to do. I've not got around to trying that. It's something I've always wanted to try. Right. Yeah, so chalk. Chalk's really good for starting paintings off. Do a grey canvas and then use piece of chalk, quick sketch, chup, 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 and then paint, and you're away. It's a fantastic way to get things going quick, and you could use your white chalk and chuck the highlights in. And you're ready to go. I love it. I love chalk. Why didn't I used to use chalk? What was I doing when I didn't use chalk? Now I can't stop. I always have a piece of chalk next to my easel like that, just waiting for me to pick up and go. I can't not do it without now. Always use chalk. And of course, the masters use chalk as well. So that must mean I'm in league with those guys. We've got another one. We've got one more. Oh no, I haven't mentioned Conte Crayons yet. Conte Crayons / dry pastels. They're pretty much the same, aren't they? I quite like them. I'm not a pastel painter really. I've seen some amazing pastel work actually. I was in the museum and there was some pastel portraits. My jaw dropped. I was like, how have they managed to do that without smudging it everywhere? I always find mine gets smudged too much, and it was amazing. I know I haven't quite got the patience maybe to not smudge because I get going. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this. Especially with oil painting now, I'm always like this, using my fingers. I end up with paint all over my hand, and then you go, and you have a paint blue line going. It's always fun. Yeah, so I did do a few videos on Conte Crayons, but I got to admit, I never really felt like I could do some masterpieces with Conte Crayons and pastels. I'm not on that level with those. And I always think about what I could do with the oil paints. And something else about oil paints that I really like is that I don't clean my brushes ever. Well, mostly ever, mostly never, because I use this mixture. Clove bud oil or clove oil. Other brands are also excellent. I'm not sponsored by Baxter's Baby Beetroot. No, this is linseed oil. I'm not sponsored by them, and all other beetroots are very good to have. Yeah, so I mix cold pressed linseed oil in with some of the clove oil, and then I can just dip my brush in and leave it, and then I look at the brushes, what colours on it, and then I'm away again. So that's another positive for me. So one of the things that I've got left that I do use now quite a lot, and that's digital painting. And digital painting originally, I saw it as something that I looked down my nose at. Oh, digital painting? Huh. They're not real painters. Mainly, I used to do that because I didn't know how to do it, and it frustrated me that I couldn't do it. So I learned how to paint on Photoshop, and now I love it. I really enjoy it. I use it as a way to improve my designs. So, like some photos I've taken, and I think, oh, I would make a really good painting, but not that keen on the sky. Well, I'm not that keen on all the messy trees. So I'll put it inside Photoshop, and then I'll start changing things. And then and cleaning it up or changing the lighting, and maybe you get a really nice daytime picture, which is like what I've done recently. I had a good waterfall. It was actually a really small waterfall, and took it in Photoshop, and then I started making it darker, making the colors more blues, and then I stuck in I'm painting in a character holding fire. You'll see it on my Facebook or on Instagram, or the video will be out hopefully in the morning, because I'll put it on upload after I've done this. And yeah, it really improved it, and I really like the design. And I've been watching a lot of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit recently, because I just really like that sort of stuff. It's cool and gives me ideas. They had some great artists working on those films, because there's so many good landscapes where they sort of pan around and you see all the great mountains and stuff. Looks nice. And yeah, I came up with this idea of a guy with a beard Got to have the sort of big beard, like a dwarf or something, holding fire, and it worked really well. Let's have a look on the comments. And TJ says, I always come back to oils also. I find all the cautionary tales to be mostly bunk. Even cleanup for me seems easier than acrylic. Yeah, it is weird. It is weird. Because that's what I thought as well. Because if you remove paint thinners, remove mediums, because that's what people are generally scared of, is all the chemicals that people use. And I don't use any. I don't use any paint thinners. I don't use any terps or whatever. I don't use any. And so no problems. And I'm just using linseed oil, cold pressed linseed oil in with the pigment. And I don't use any of the poisonous, dangerous pigments that are out there, because it's safer not to. And I don't eat the paints. Yes, I get it on my fingers, but I always wash it off. I don't eat it. Probably my most dangerous pigment that I've got is chromium oxide that I made. And for some reason, I did get a bit nervous when I was making it, but it's not that bad. It's mixed in with oil now anyway, so it's not airborne. I think that sort of thing, it would be more dangerous if it's airborne, and you'd be snuffing it up all the time. But yeah, baby oil is good to clean up. My eye just caught that. I tend to scrape my palette with my Bob Ross landscape knife, and then I'll use a baby wipe and just go, and it's all good. Yeah, baby oil does work as well. Did you go to art college? Nope. I should have done. I went to catering college, which I don't know why. I kept telling myself I should be going to art college, but I never went. And I went to catering college instead. But I was always drawing in my book, and I'd get people in the class to draw something, a squiggle or something, then I'd use a pen, just a biro, and I would use that to do sketches, random sketches of stuff. Not particularly good, but I just like doing it. I like drawing. It's not really mentioned a biro, because I've done loads of drawings with biros over my school years. When you're supposed to be doing math equations and English, I would draw with my biro at the back of the book, and I would make little cartoon characters and do little little flip books that I could watch. I enjoyed doing that. Liquinish. Oh yeah, I don't use liquin. I don't use that. I've heard about that. Is hairspray good to keep drawings from smearing? Yes, hairspray is good, and it's a less dangerous alternative than fixative, which is not good for your lungs. It says that on the bottle. Yeah, so yeah, we said that. Inks. I've not really used inks very much. That's another one that I haven't thought of. Put it on my list. Inks. Tick. Not used it very much. Have a good live, Chrissy Canvas Art. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up anyway because I need to have some food. So, say she's going to set up for her own live. So, Chrissy, if you follow Chrissy Canvas Art, it looks like she's going to be doing a live. So you might want to check her out. I am going to be heading off. I have the rest of The Hobbit to watch. And I'm going to upload my video. So I hope you enjoyed this little chat about different mediums. So thanks very much for watching this, and yeah, tomorrow morning there should be a video, unless it comes out tonight. It all depends on how quick my internet is on the upload. Hopefully you check it out. One quick question from Marianne Eaglin: what kind of varnish do you use? I tend to take my painting outside and use a spray varnish, a touch-up varnish, because usually I do it when the paint isn't quite dry, and then if it is dry, I'll use whatever Winsor and Newton sell, because it's easy to get. They come in like little bottles of gloss varnish. I always use gloss, and then pour it on and quickly spiritily spread it out. I always tend to do it outside. Which I would call a lie. Yeah, thanks very much everyone for watching. How long did it take you to get really good at oil painting? I don't know if I am. I don't think the time it takes for someone to get good at something is dependent on the person, I think. So with me, because I'm quite, I'll be honest, I'm quite a slow learner, and I tend to have a bit of a too much of an analytical mind, in that I try and break things down too much. So it takes me longer to get to the point of learning something, where if someone with a mind that will accept information more readily would get a lot better a lot quicker, I think. But yeah. It takes as long as it takes. I still think I'm learning. I'm getting better all the time. Hello from Paris. Jean Gropposo. Is that right? Yeah, thanks very much for watching. I'm going to be closing this stream. This has been all about why I always come back to oil painting. And hopefully there will be a new episode coming soon where I will talk about something else. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you at another one. Cheers. Bye.